The Grade Cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called, the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue for young kids going into a senior cricket team.
Take it was like a wet sleeve.
A bit of advice to the players, follow one.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this'll do a little bit early.
Hello, welcome to the Grade Cricketer. On today's show, we're talking T20 World Cup relocations. We're talking Australian cricket. We're talking England cricket. We're talking the Ashes. Steve Harmison is on the show. Before we get into hashtag AskTGC, not to forget that Dinesh Kartik has said some shit. We need to dissect that as well. This episode is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler. You can use the code CHAMP for free custom design at budgiesmuggler.com. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry sits across from me and I, him, Pezzy lad. Hello and welcome back.
Thanks very much. And thank you for welcoming me back. It feels like it's been a little while.
Hasn't, though.
But it hasn't at all.
As I said, that some cricket's been played. Aside from football coming home, cricket's here. Mm-hmm. But I don't really care about England, Sri Lanka. And I feel like the people don't either. Sri Lanka didn't. They turn up. They know things. Let's find out.
You don't want to discuss like England's lack of death bowlers because they didn't even have to try. Find out.
Darwin Milan's poor run of form for 2 games. No, what I want to talk about is Dinesh Kartik on comms for Sky saying, and I quote, "Bats are like a neighbour's wife. They always feel better."
Why don't we let the
what?
Why don't we let the listeners into how it sounded in context?
Yeah, please.
Yeah? Okay.
Bats are like a neighbour's wife. They always feel better.
Always.
You just hear some laughter in the background as we cut that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, well...
What's your take on that, mate?
He might have had a
good experience with a neighbour.
That's what I meant. They might have a shoulder to cry on, an ear, a listening ear.
Yeah, pop round next door for a little
what,
drink.
Mate? Or a conversation.
Salt and pepper. Rub and tug. I'm going to pop next door for a rub and tug.
Pop next door for a rub and tug.
How long are you going to be for? Hour.
I lived in a rental property once. Now
Here
you say
go.
that.
Now we're talking.
Subdivided.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Subdivided. Mm-hmm. And pretty sure that on the other side of the division was indeed a rub and tug. Pretty sure. The landlord didn't want to discuss it much. Didn't want to discuss it much there in, I don't have to say where.
The first time we ever met.
But no, that's a different spot. That's a different house.
I know it's a different spot. You got a real taste.
Well, I'd always suspected that, it was more than a massage place.
Yeah.
Or I suppose what would you call it? A traditional Thai massage place, for example.
How traditional are we talking?
Just your deep tissue.
How traditional are we talking? Is it sort of deep tissue? Or are you getting
your combination?
Rub one out?
Oh yeah, it had the neon flashing light at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Had a sort of that acupuncture silhouette picture on the front as well. Yep. Everything looking good. The blinds were shuttered.
Yeah.
I always had a suspicion, but I never said anything to my then girlfriend, now wife, because we just don't need to raise any of that kind of stuff or create that kind of suspicion in the house. And then one day I got home and Tori, my wife, was like, the water, we lost water, we ran out of water in the house, water was turned off or something. So I go around to the other place off the back of our house, knock on their door. She's like at the massage place. I'm like, oh yeah. So I walk in, and the woman at the front's in a leopard print skirt. Oh yeah.
No, there's anything wrong with that.
Like, okay. She's like, yeah, there was pornography all over the front. Okay.
That can mean one of two things.
Pornography all over the front. What? But yeah, who knows with Dinesh? He goes on that note.
But do you agree with that?
Agree with what?
The notion
rub and tugs.
that the other two notions that. Do you agree with the notion of rub and tugs? and also, do they exist? And also that other people's bats feel better? Because I don't think that's true. With respect, I've never played international cricket. Dinesh Kartik has. So what do I know? But I don't know if that's... I don't remember picking up someone else's stick I'm being like, this is better than mine. It feels weird.
Oh, I see where Dinesh is
You know when
coming
you go to
from as
someone-
a concept. The grass is always greener.
But you know when you go to someone else's house and their water tastes different? Because the plumbing's different, the taps are different?
I've had that experience like going to a different country,
Okay.
but the water tends to taste the same for
Nah, I
me.
disagree.
Yeah, it's okay.
Disagree.
Yeah. You might have a more sensitive palate.
Yep.
I've always said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I agree with the notion of rub and tugs. Well,
I don't know if that means a philosophical question.
how many cricket teams do you think have been sponsored surreptitiously by rub and tugs?
Plenty.
I think maybe the cricket team sponsored them.
Use the code CHAMP for 10% off.
I said this
Or
before.
you
I
get
was
yourself off.
going to like an end of season presentation.
At a
Really-
brothel.
No, but it was really beautifully done. It was well put together at a very salubrious place, and
Yeah.
everyone was invited.
Yeah.
The club has men's and women's teams, lots of families
Sure.
and stuff like that.
Inclusive environment.
Talking to the president, this is a long time ago. I was talking to the president. He's like,
March.
He's like, mate, in the 70s, the way we used to raise funds was like the blokes would come in for a porn and chicken night. It's come a long way. It's come a long way. Same club.
It used to be a porn night. Yeah, this needs.
No, it's gonna be KFC.
Oh, that's fucking grotesque.
Yeah, well,
Porn and chicken.
that's right. So, it's just the eating of animals. I think. He goes on speaking of bats feeling good. On the weekend, I have to share on the weekend.
Yeah, so I want to get into this.
I took my first trip in what would have to be nearly a decade to a
Brothel.
13 things in my head there. The equivalent in many ways. A cricket shop, a cricket equipment shop.
Cricket shop. He said shop.
Shop, yeah.
Wasn't a chop shop.
It was not a chop shop. It was near some chop shops.
Yeah. Where'd you go?
So I went to Greg Chappell
Greg
Cricket
Chappell.
Centre.
Greg Chappell chop shop.
That's what you should call it.
He should.
I went for the first time in a decade, and mate, and I took my little boy.
Yeah.
Just because I had not because I wasn't shopping for him.
Right.
And mate, just what a sociological experience it is.
Mate, in terms of
going
picking
to-
up bats, that's
Yeah,
paradise.
insane.
That is paradise.
The entire exercise though, from the moment you walk in, like you walk in and you're in Disneyland of cricket equipment.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and you're 35,
Yeah.
and you're thinking, "I'd play, be cool,
Yeah.
be cool."
So what do
So-
you go to first? You go to like brands that you would never usually associate with. I'm thinking like a Puma or a New Balance or things that you wouldn't usually buy or have had before. Or do you go straight to your Kookaburra, Granix or whatever you had?
Like with a lot of shops, the first thing I do is pretty much browse the whole shop. I just
you
do
do a
a
lap?
rec on of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Just do a
Yeah.
lap just to get my bearings.
Yeah.
He's here. This is this.
Now,
Just
I think-
like sort of bookmark a few places.
I think
to
this
come
is
back.
the example. Like a lot of the female listeners, I hope I can relate to this. They often will look at the menu before they go to the restaurant. Whereas me, for instance, when I'm going to that restaurant, I'm looking at that menu for the first time. I don't plan ahead. I'm going to a Kingsgrove Sports or a
Yeah.
Greg Chappell Centre. I've looked at that catalogue for weeks
Yeah.
beforehand. I know where everything's placed. I know where the
Right.
bathroom is. I know the guy's name.
Catalogue.
The catalogue, yeah.
Showing your
Yeah.
age.
Some sticky pages there, let me tell you.
Wow. So I go into this shop and like there's about five. It's a weekend. There's about 5 or 6 blokes like scattered around the shop.
No,
it's
no,
only
making eye contact.
well, this is the thing. It's only open for about 4 hours on a Saturday. It's the middle of winter.
Yeah, of course,
in
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah.
Melbourne. It's like probably about 6 degrees outside. 6, 7
Perfect.
degrees.
Yep.
Just a couple of blokes in a Greg Chappell going through some equipment. I go in and
This will be my season.
I'm looking around vaguely, generally chatting with my little boy.
Yeah.
You know, there's Renegades and a Stars kit
Course.
there. Which one do you like? That
Right.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can actually see how kids like T20 cricket as well, like where they gravitate. But anyway, different thing. Yeah, and this like bloke comes over to me. He's like, "Oh, can I help you, man?" Just really nice bloke. Wants to help. Like all of a sudden, my voice is 3 octaves lower. I couldn't clock his eyes. Averted his gaze.
Yeah.
into the distance.
Yeah.
Couldn't have adopted a more nonchalant attitude.
Of course, yeah.
Couldn't have used the corner of my mouth more.
100%.
All right, man.
And he pretended not to know who you were.
Don't know. I couldn't see him. I wasn't looking at him. I just heard a voice. Saw a silhouette, coming over.
Could have been a robot.
Moved my eyes around.
Yeah.
Could have been anything. Son just like, "You okay, Dad?"
Yeah.
The other experience. So I was trying to get it's a long story, but I was trying to get a bag, cricket bag, anyway, I get to the front of the counter at the end. I've got my cricket bag, and then I've also got a box.
Yeah.
Right. And
as in a protector.
Hector protector.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Which they call abdominal protectors in the shop.
Abdominal protectors.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a euphemism.
But they're not unisex.
No.
So
I saw the women's ones there as well.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, they were called abdominal protectors anyway.
That's a lie.
Don't know. Yeah.
Cricket is a lie. That's
I
a
had
lie.
to keep looking. I'm like, that's a box.
Yeah.
And then so all of the top of the range bats are behind the counter.
Oh, are people nicking bats?
I don't know, but this is just at this particular shop, but around the perimeter of am I right just talking slowly about this? I know there's a lot to get through.
There's
but
not
I just
really.
feel like, yeah. Around the perimeter is all the bats, but they didn't get sort of above $400 or $500, $500-$600,
Yeah,
something
okay.
like that, Australian.
A lot of money back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
But all of the premium bats were behind the counter, kind of like all the good alcohol, like the good cigarettes.
Or cigarettes, yeah. Or the good cigarettes. Where are your good cigarettes? Where are your long champs?
And there's another bloke there at the front, like a customer, and he says, I overhear him say, because I'm listening, fucking radar and 10A up.
Yeah, your head's red.
Yeah,
with heat,
exactly.
Yeah.
Can I have the Grey Nichols top of the line? Top of the range, is he? And then he was given the Grey Nicks. And he's like, it's $1,800.
Holy shit, $1,800.
$1,800. And he's smashing it into the ground, like
sacrilegious.
taking guard though.
Yeah.
Picking up.
Because I was watching Steve Smith's YouTube video.
Well, exactly. 1 minute 19 of pure gold, marking your guard.
Learn from the best.
I prefer the Ray Martin interview.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So I say to the guy at the front, I'm like, can I have the GM, the Gun and More icon? I just wanted to see what a $1,200 bat felt like.
$1,200, yeah, okay.
And he gives me it's by weight. He gives me the 212. I'm like, no, can I have the 29?
Yeah, 212. That's a heavy stick.
Heavy stick.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a heavy stick.
Yeah, heavy.
Yeah.
Gives me 2.8.
Oh, well, fucking get out of here. It's a toothpick.
Oh, I got to say, though, picking it up, it's like fucking Flanders. Feels like I'm picking up nothing at all.
Yeah, of course.
Just, there's so much wood.
Mate, unbelievable.
And it's air.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
you are picking up nothing at all.
Yeah. We're getting some real areas of like, geez, bats are bigger these days, but it's
how's it so big?
Quickly it has changed from like what even we used. Like my last stick like 5 years ago is a fucking toothpick compared to these things now. Like the technology behind it is unbelievable.
Mate,
it's same with golf clubs.
Does it feel
actually.
like nothing? I'd love to hit a ball
Featherweight.
like that. Anyway. Yeah. So anyway,
what'd you buy?
Oh, I ended up getting like a duffel bag and a box.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm slowly sort of recalibrating my cricket gear. I've got none at the moment.
Yeah. Are we saying why you're doing this?
Yeah. Well, as we go, I mean, by the time people listen to this, it will have happened. But basically, over the last few days, people will have noticed. Some will have noticed if you follow Peter Hatzeglu that having lost his state contract, he is now documenting his training regime being teamless through the winter. And I think that's a very respectable thing. And so he's documenting his net sessions, his fitness sessions, and all that sort of stuff. So I saw this, and he's a friend of the show. And I noticed that he was training basically around the corner from where I live. So I texted him. I said, if you need someone to tune up with, if you need, X1s, opening stick, someone describe me as an organised technician.
Right.
Yeah,
send him your CV.
HMU. I think I had to look that up on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And he's totally into it.
Right.
He's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get a coffee after. So
you're netting with Hatzeglu.
I'm netting with Hatzeglu tomorrow, and I'm just considering it more like I haven't hit for a while. I'm like a long time. Mm-hmm. kind of like going to church. You know, it's been a lot, like I've lost my faith. My faith has wavered. And I want to go back to church. I want to face Peter Hatzoglou, leg spin, brotherhood stuff.
Sure.
Somehow I think I'm going to be okay, and I know that I'm not.
He's going to blow your front pad off.
It's going to fucking kill me. It's more like, he bowls quite quick, so it's more like right arm in swing, you know what I mean? Yeah, he's a listener of the show, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't get the broom out for him.
Oh, I'll be getting the broom out, put him on the back foot.
And that's our assessment of Dinesh Kartik saying, bats like a neighbour's wife. All right, Pez, let's go straight into the T20 World Cup announcement this week. So that's been moved from India because of COVID and obviously monsoon season.
It's a monsoon season, I think.
It's a monsoon season. It's not going to be played in the UAE and Oman. That makes sense because the IPL is going to be played in the UAE from late September to early October. The World Cup is October 17 to November 14. How long is that? That's 20-odd days, something like 3 weeks. And there's also a T20 World Cup next year in Australia, just because they do this every 2 years now for some reason. But I suppose that's just top line news about the World Cup, and I suppose everything, in Australian sense, everything's heading towards that first before the Ashes. There's obviously more cricket to be played, like the 100. There's obviously England-India Test Series to be played as well. But from the Australian perspective, there's a conversation happening now, which seems to be like, should the Australian players have their contracts, have their positions in the team, the national team, be put in jeopardy if they choose their franchise over representing their country in specifically what we're talking about here is these two series between the West Indies, which starts on Saturday for Australia, and Bangladesh after that. Seems to me it's a very niche, specific argument because the IPL there's literally a specific window the IPL exists in, a 6-week window where there's no other cricket being played. So this idea that like players are choosing franchise over country is really only confecting this COVID environment where it's been really weird for the last 2 years, right? And the idea that like Cummins, Smith, et al. Are going to get dropped because they are going to miss the third ODI, against Bangladesh in September because they're playing for KKR or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna drop them for the Ashes because they're going to miss these couple of white ball games? Wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, you can see the conversation rising with this around the country. I can't believe that our top players would pick their Indian franchise over representing the famed black jersey of the T20 side.
That's right. That's right.
Is it black or dark green? Yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. A mode of the sport that Australia's never taken seriously.
But the idea, I suppose, is like, I can't believe you go for your franchise over your country. Club versus country.
Yeah.
An Indian franchise versus your nation.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you're playing against. And you see it parroted by guys that played in a different generation. You wonder how those guys would have made their decisions. But then again, he goes, and to my mind, I think that entire conversation probably reflects more about the general disconnect with cricket that Australia has when the cricket is beyond its borders, that the nation has.
Yeah, I agree.
The IPL will be a very fine preparation for the T20 World Cup for a lot of those guys. It only won't be insofar as it'll be a lot of cricket in a row in one go when you're missing your family and your quarantine and all that sort of stuff, which is fair enough. And it was given some credit because, to be fair, Aaron Finch has made comments on it, the white ball captain. Mm-hmm. He said, I think they would find it hard to justify going back and playing that second half of the IPL. So he's brought it into question, just purely based on the workload coming up with the T20 World Cup and a huge home summer. So there's he's putting it in the context of like, you can't do each of, playing for your country, playing the IPL, then going to play the Ashes. You have to kind of make your choice. And he's saying perhaps you need to reconsider your IPL obligations or your IPL contracts, as Mitchell Starc has. So Starc has said it's a really tough situation. Oh no, well Finch said it's a really tough situation, but Starc has gone, to be fair, is like just gone, no, I'm going to leave the IPL out. I'm going to see my family and just get myself ready for the white ball stuff. I think it is a little bit different for everybody, but I think this idea of like it's un-Australian to go and play for your IPL team is a little bit naive. I think those guys are going to be fine for the T20 World Cup.
Was Starc decided not to go into this year's IPL? Was he even going to? Could he be contracted, like drafted in? Because there's going to be guys missing, like the English guys might not go, for instance, to the second half of the IPL. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, he's made a call.
Yeah, he's made a call
and said, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You can't really judge, can you? You've probably played 3 or 4 IPLs. You might feel like your coin's looking pretty good. And he doesn't get to see Alyssa very much because their schedules conflict. So,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a lot of this kind of gear around, it's that it would be regrettable if you played in the IPL when you're talking about missing a West Indies Bangladesh tour is a bit much.
Yeah, and also I need to know the quarantine requirements for those countries as well. Like moving from the West Indies to Bangladesh, famously not the same country, Sam. So they'll have to do like another quarantine period in there. I would have thought anyway, not knowing anything about the current COVID situation in Bangladesh. But if they're all going to be in the UAE, it makes it pretty simple to do like one quarantine in the UAE, then go straight into you're already there. Then you just meet up with the team who joined later for the World Cup. It's in the same spot. So there's less quarantine there. I'm not sure. I mean, but again, this is a very specific example of this is only happening because of COVID. You look at what's happening with the England setup in terms of the rotation that they're doing, guys pulling out of test matches, ODI, white ball stuff, whatever, because they don't want to quarantine over again. Marnus was not picked to do the white ball stuff because he was going to have to quarantine for something like 38 days for 10 days of cricket or some shit. This is a very unique situation.
What you're saying is because of COVID, people need to cool their jets.
Cool their jets. Now, Pez, we saw a wonderful photo in the Gold Coast with the team just getting back together.
The Aussie team
getting together.
Yeah, this is my gear.
And everyone's come on. They said
it's looking good.
Everyone said all good with JL, no problems there. Of course, there was a review into the team's performance and the relationship with Langer and the team after last summer. A few things came out, didn't seem that happy. Now everyone's saying all good, everything's good now. Everyone's happy.
Well, they addressed it.
They've addressed it.
It was a big picture. They had a big fitness session. Everyone's face was red.
Boys looking good.
Everyone's happy. Dolphins going arm in arm.
Big time.
JL on the side. Little sweater around his around his neck, looking good. Chompers out there. and he goes. There was a very very interesting piece from Pete Lawler recently. It was about Justin Langer and what's been going on and his changes and not to paraphrase Lawler's piece. It's a very interesting piece. I encourage people to read it if they can. Langer's got elite passion. Passion is his strength and weakness. He's complicated. He can read the room and misread it. But as we can see, they've gone to the Gold Coast. They've addressed the criticism around his moodiness and his grumpiness. It was hard for him, but he took it on the chin. They've done a fitness session, and apparently we're all good now.
Fuck yeah, that must have been a hell of a fitness session.
Apparently we're all good now. It's funny. He goes with Langer. It's a long summer. It's a lot. There's a lot of cricket to be played. A long time away from the Ashes as well. But the West Indies Bangladesh series could be interesting. I find it funny how questions around Langer seem to center around management of his personality. We need to understand what he's like.
Right.
As though it's the only real sticking point. Other than that, they should be pretty good, on paper. But I think in the clear light of day, JL is into his 4th year. Australia's 3rd in the test rankings, 1 rating point ahead of England, whatever the fuck that means. They missed the World Test Championship final. They made the semis of the ODI World Cup where they were easily beaten. They're 5th in T20 cricket. They lost to India's 2nd, 3rd team at home. They had a good draw in the Ashes. They retained the urn, which was good.
Yep.
But I think forgetting personality intricacies, he could be the Dalai Lama and his record would still mean he should be under a little bit of pressure. You're coaching Australia. People expect you to be somewhere near the top. They're not. So there should be some rightful conversation about how the team could be improved, right?
Yeah, mate, and it's interesting where we've spoken this for a while now that this team is so close to being a really great team, but they haven't been. They haven't been a great team. They weren't a great team under Lehmann. The last great team we had was probably Ender Clark. Would that be right? 2015, won the World Cup as well. Swept England in the Ashes.
Might have been the last time they were number 1.
Yeah.
It might have even been a few years earlier than that. Yeah, you've called them. It's a good phrase for it. An almost team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've brought in Michael Devenuto and Jeff Vaughan as coaches this week as well. I don't know much about Jeff Vaughan, to be fair. Michael Devenuto is very highly rated. He's very highly rated at Surrey. And he was formerly the batting coach of the national side as well, and people rated him really highly there. Be interesting to see if he's, Is he complementary, or is he another layer between Langer and the players? It's just a question. I don't know the answer to that. I just noticed, Higgos, that like anytime these the players or the coach, captain or the coach, are questioned about anything, they always seem to be introducing mitigating factors, to every example of underperformance. There's been a lot about the overrated World Test Championship, right?
Yeah.
So I'm running through a few things. Like at the time when, so for background, one reason Australia missed out on the World Test Championship final is they were docked points in Melbourne against India for slow overrates. And that ended up being the number of points that they needed to make the final, right? Mm-hmm. At the time, so after they were docked points, Langer said, quote, it wasn't until after the game that we realised our overrate was down. That's really slack on our behalf. Pat Cummins echoed it, saying he wasn't aware during the test that they were behind the rate. He said, I hadn't heard anything about the overrates. And then Pete Lawler did a profile piece on Tim Payne recently as well, and he was going on, Payne, to say, like, we missed out because we were slow on our overrates that in a game that finished on day 4. We were where we only bowled 16 overs, had a day and a half to go. We bowled 16 overs. If we had Nathan Lyon for a little bit longer, we would have been ahead by 35th over, right? Mm-hmm. He goes on to say, so in the 4th innings, India only needed 70 to win, but it was still a test match, and I wasn't going to take the piss and open with a spinner in those circumstances. You have to respect the game to some degree. So it sort of sounds to me like, I could be wrong, but like he considered bowling Lyon because of overrates. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
Why would he have considered that if, as they claim, they weren't aware of an issue until after the game was finished? Were they or were they not aware of the overrate issue? I mean, Payne's comments suggest to me like he thought about bowling Lyon. Why would you do that if you didn't know there was an overrate issue? Maybe that's explainable. Mm-hmm. My point is like Payne goes on recently and says, unfortunately we were the team that bore the brunt of the overrate thing. A lot of test match crickets in the last 2 years where bowlers haven't bowled their overs, and I'm not sure how many teams have lost points out of it. So Payne's sort of saying, well, we copped the brunt of overrate issues, but other teams didn't. Like, why are we making excuses? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He might have a valid point, but you observe a pattern. Like when something goes wrong, it always seems to be someone else's fault. Shouldn't the attitude be like, we fucked up, we have to be better, we will be better? Doesn't matter how the ICC want to play with other teams. We've got to be better. I think people are entitled to be watching this team, their culture, their leadership, how they go forward.
Yeah. I think that is kind of the main narrative in Australian cricket heading forward. I mean, I wonder what's a good result for Australia in the T20 World Cup, because I think when the tournament was supposed to be held in Australia in 2020, Australia were favourites to win that, and that was the goal. We started taking a bit more seriously, pump a bit more resources into the team, playing full strength team all the time. That almost never happens in Australian T20 cricket history. We've played like our strongest team maybe once or twice in a row, And now then it got obviously COVID, it's got moved. Now it's in Asia. Now it's a much harder thing to do. Now India be well favourites to be winning that. England's right back into it as well, I'd imagine. New Zealand's always strong. So like, is a semi-final of the World Cup an acceptable result? Because here's the thing with the Australian cricket team, we fucking think we should win everything. Every competition, we should at least be in the finals. That's the mandate for the Australian cricket team.
So we should make a final pretty soon because we haven't made many lately.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, but this is kind of the thing with this almost team. Almost when the Ashes got ourselves into a World Cup semi-final and then got fucking pumped by England. India should have won that series against a really weakened team. Didn't. Lost the series. Ashes coming up, you think, well, we should win that. But like, what is this going to be a pattern? Almost team.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Where are we meant to set our expectations?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It feels so long since we've even played. I mean, I guess you get a bit of a marker heading into this series on Saturday with Australia playing the West Indies over there.
I'd be curious to watch how they go. West Indies can play the code. Well, T20 can play T20, so don't know.
England cricket, Pez. Start with this. England smashed Sri Lanka in every white ball game. They played 5 and a bit games.
They smashed Sri Lanka at all costs and times.
Oh my God, that was a decimation. One of the ones where like one of the conversations was Dawid Malan out of form, just missed out twice, and he opened the batting in the third T20 game and hit like 76 with Bairstow, I think, opening the batting. He's still good. He should probably bat 3 for England Test matches, but at no point was any of those games close. Joe Root scoring runs.
Mate, he's one of those guys, Milan. I think it's like how like England are with Stark. With, like as they question our relationship, like Australia's relationship with Stark. Like an absolute worldie. Australia. I'm not saying Milan's a worldie for Australia, but like he scored runs against us. He's prickly. You know, it's apparently like he's not au fait with the team at all times.
Yeah, I don't think they rate him.
Yeah, they don't rate him or something. You know, maybe he's abrasive in a way they don't like or something.
Yeah.
Doesn't get on with the skipper or something, but like he scores runs relatively often, and makes good runs, but his place in the side's always under question. Like if you heard now like they put Milan into the Test side for Australia, be like yeah, well, fair play.
Yeah.
He could score runs.
I don't know if he still is, but he at least was the number one T20 batsman in the world. I don't know. I think he sort of came in to like fill a gap because someone was injured. Then he just did really, really well. He's like, he's undroppable now. And they're like, can you fail, please, so we can get another guy back in, please? Can Joe Root bat 3 in the T20 stuff?
I expect England's white ball side to do well in the T20 World Cup.
Still an amazing team. Their white ball team.
They know how to play.
Yeah.
I think
Bowling's good.
I think against Sri Lanka they've been testing a few guys out. Owen Morgan has been there keeping his eye on things. Joe Root, good anchor. They're pretty covered across the board.
Yeah, Liam Livingston came in and did really well as well. I know, and Alex Howes just can't get into the team because of whatever reason, doesn't get along with the team or Morgan or whatever that clash is. But yeah, I think they're a better white ball team than Australia at the moment. Still, the team hasn't changed that much since when they won the World Cup in 2019. I've got that winning draw. So, Pez, James Anderson 1,000 first class wickets, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
It?
Well. He took 7 for 19. So he took his 1,000th first-class wicket bowling at the James Anderson end.
Fucking alpha. That's alpha.
In a spell of 7 for 19 off 10 overs.
Pitch it up, Jimmy.
And so you can obviously, like, you can say later on, like, you don't have to be hyperbolic saying, no, he took over 1,000 wickets.
Yeah.
He took 1,000.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's still a ways to go to catch Wilfred Rhodes, who took 4,204 first-class wickets. Between 1898 and 1930.
So I looked this up. There's 216 people have got 1,000 wickets.
Not even a big deal.
Not really. Like it's amazing, but 216 people have done it. How? But it's all 1880 stuff, isn't it?
Well, I know with Rhodes, with Wilfred Rhodes.
What did he bowl?
Well, the Decks used to do a little bit more back then. And his recovery was very good, like hot, cold showers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He could keep himself on the park.
Yeah, electrolytes.
Between 1898 and 1930. Did he skip the war?
Yeah, he could bowl. Fucking coward, though.
He could bowl.
Yeah. Like a white feather in the letterbox. Mate, what about what's with cricket? How
allegedly
guys can score 200 runs with toothpicks batting in a business shirt in the session, and also guys get like 200 wicket seasons playing 18 games.
Yeah, better players back then. They didn't have Twitter and social media and stuff like that.
See,
so
I
could just focus on their games.
Like Bradman scored 300 in a day, didn't he? Once.
Yeah.
Uncovered wickets.
He could play.
Yeah, well, he could stick, allegedly, but I don't understand. I suppose the bowling and uncovered wickets, I can understand a guy getting 4,000 first-class wickets.
I just always think about these guys because obviously we look back on the guys from, you know, black and white TV era, business shirt era. We don't rate them at all. They bowled 50 Ks an hour. But like you still hear these stories about when they crossed over, like Bradman after his career, like 10 years after his career in administration and cricket, Australian Cricket Board or whatever the fuck they were called, like facing Lily kind of thing and like showing him how it was done. And then like Greg Chappell was coaching Australia A in 94, 95 and got in and faced all the opening bowlers to show him how it was done. So like they could obviously
isn't there a story where like he didn't wear pads?
Yeah,
or
some gloves or something. Yeah, he was naked.
It was a hazing ceremony.
It was hazing. He said, "This is what we used to do." Louis Van Gaal, look at my balls.
Yeah,
and you know, yeah.
That's why Bradman was taking off his pads.
Yeah. So what's that?
Protecting his dick.
Ray Martin said he had big hands. Bradman
had to have done.
Yeah, had to.
Like when did cricket get good?
Because like, did it get good?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is when you could see it in coloured television. Like, was Lily that good?
Did it get good? 05 Ashes. Still in disbelief that England won. Was that good?
Is Simon Jones' ball the best ball you've ever seen? To Clark?
I'm classic, man. I'm still worn. Still 93. That was...
Ollie Robinson, Pez has been cleared for his final suspension, so he's going to be available for the selection of the India series. Selection for the India series later in, when's that start? August. So that's good, I guess. Did his time.
8 games, enormous fine, so that looks good. 5 of the games suspended, and he served 3, so he's ready to go. He's ready to play.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware that I thought he just had to miss that for one test match. Is that wrong?
Well, he missed 3 games. I presume that includes some
first class stuff.
Yeah. Or when was he? No, there was 2. There was 1 test after he got done, right?
Yeah.
And then there's been 2 ODIs.
He missed the World Test Championship final.
Any game anywhere.
Yeah.
And 5 of those games are suspended for 2 years or something.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I also noted he goes that on England cricket that the 100 marketing team, the 100 venture did a massive press day recently, and had a press conference and like basically nobody picked it up the next day. There was almost minimal. There was minimal press about it. So
the 100 starts the end of July. I haven't got the date in front of me. It's the end of July though.
It was in the press conference, but that's the point.
That's the point. Yeah. When do the Euros finish? Probably in a week. In about a week. Yeah. So it actually could fit in quite nicely. The country could be in a nationalistic euphoria. You know, football's just come home, get into the 100. Vaccines rolling around. Everyone's back at full capacity.
Vaccines rolling around.
So it could be good, but I just feel like right now, if you're trying to get like cricket into the psyche of the English public, absolutely no danger because they're now favourites in the Euros.
I saw this article.
Even though there's no real crossover between like football and cricket culture. There's a little bit, but like not as much as almost all sports in Australia.
I want to ask Steve Harmison about that.
Yeah.
We haven't spoken to yet. This article said 100 ways to say nothing. The 100 may have already picked up its first accolade, that of the worst press conference held here. And then later on says, some remarked how the cringeworthy session resembled a meeting of a cult, with those involved brainwashed into believing the competition was going to be anything other than a gimmick.
There's heaps of people in the UK who fucking hate the idea of the 100.
Yeah.
I guess I can understand.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
It's a cursed competition.
Yeah, it is.
It's so cursed.
Because now heaps of the Australian guys aren't going to it. Like
Well, of course.
No, I just mean like more overseas players as well.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Pez, before we speak to Steve Harmison, we of course need to give a shout out to our dear friends at Budgie Smuggler. You can use the code CHAMP for free custom design at budgiesmuggler.com. I suppose we need a theme here this week.
Well, a lot of people have been praising Dinesh Kartik's kit. Do you know?
A lot of people have been, yeah.
In fairness to
Colourful
Dinesh,
gear, good gear.
Yeah, decides to wear a shirt that has colours on it. You know, that's a big deal for cricket.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You know, a move away from, I suppose your softer pastel coloured suits and ties and
chino.
whatnot. Your chino.
Softly pressed chino into a loafer.
And your light blue shirt, button-up shirt, obviously. Euro cut at the collar, possibly. Dinesh Kartik, a little bit more 2021, a little bit more colour, a little bit more, a few different splashes in there, a little bit more vibrancy, and he's getting a lot of praise for that. That's in line with Budgie Smuggler's style,
Yeah.
wouldn't you say?
Who do apparel.
Yeah. Oh,
apparel.
yeah.
Bucket hats, towels,
If you will.
shirts.
You get custom design for all of that. For all of it, is it? Don't know. Check on the website. We'll just scoot around.
Yeah.
But you can get that. You can get all of that. Custom design, what's that? Free custom design if you use the code CHAMP
Free custom design.
at budgiesmuggler.com. And here goes. Our great friends, are they still? At Manscaped, where we're talking about the winter package. Here in Australia, that is. Now, I went to Scape this morning, and I decided not to because I was late.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But it was there, and the actual the shaver was in the shower. I could take it out of the little bucket that's pressed into the wall in my house that contains all my children's toys for the bath.
Yeah, okay.
Is that wrong? As I say that out loud? People go, oh, that's a bit gross. Not really, because it's clean.
I saw an advert for a rival company on the internet.
Shit. We've got to send this ad to Kyle at Manscaped.
Yeah, I know. And the person advertising it was saying that you can use it from your head to your heels or something like that. I don't know if you can use... I mean, you probably can use this, but I would get 2. I wouldn't use the same razor on your balls and your face.
Oh, God, no. Let's be clear.
That's what this advert was promoting. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, you'd need... I suppose if you wanted to, you could.
I guess if you can do whatever you want.
Personally, wouldn't do that. That's the authenticity of this ad. Manscaped's here to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience, offering precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Got any stories about scaping lately?
No, not really.
No, that's fine. I guess it's getting cold. Let it grow. Warm yourself up.
Yeah, it's a winter
But when you
package.
want to, you can use the Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0
Yes, you can.
to get rid of all of that shit. You can get, there's a nose trimmer, there's an ear hair trimmer,
all there.
all
It's
that
all
sort of
part of the
stuff.
perfect
Yeah. 20% off plus free shipping using the code TGC at manscaped.com. They want me to repeat that, but you just heard me say it, so I won't do it.
Manscaped.com, TGC. You know how to do it, 20% off. All right, here we go. Steve Harmison.
All right, some numbers to begin with, just so the man in question can hear them all in one go. 63 tests, 226 wickets, best of 7 for 12, match best of 11 for 76, 8 fifers and a 10 for 58 ODIs, a best of 5 for 33 there, 744 first-class wickets in 211 matches, 27 fifers. He was the number one bowler in the world for a period. He nailed Ponting in the 05 Ashes in his face at one point, which we've all seen on YouTube. We, as Australians, I would say, on behalf of the country, we respected his wheels. We respected his pace. And there's not too many blokes whose wheels we respect in Australia. That's a little secret I'll let you in on. But he was one. UK folks will be familiar with him on TalkSport. He's also got a brand new YouTube channel. We're talking to Steve Harmison. Harmy, welcome to the Grade Cricketer, mate.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can I call you Harmy to begin with?
Yeah, you call me what you want. Because a lot of people call me a lot worse, to be fair. But yeah, especially Australians, to be fair.
I just say from the top, I'm sorry if I'm overstepping the mark here, but your hair is looking unbelievable on YouTube here. Like I haven't seen it like that before, but he sort of has like a sort of a Mancini style managerial streak to it. Can you walk us through the hair?
I've gone back to my adolescent youth, to be fair. When I first started playing, I never forget, I played a game at Warwickshire, my second first-class match, first one away from home. And my hair was like this. It was all over the shop. Because what it was like when I was a kid. It's like secret headbanger, rock star sort of thing. And I can't remember who the batsman was, but I didn't appeal for an LBW. My first ever captain was a little fella from Australia who terrified the life out of me.
You can say
he was about 5'7".
Yeah.
And that was David Boone. And I didn't appeal. And he come marching over, asking me politely in Boonie's manner why I didn't appeal. And I said my hair was in my eyes. And I didn't have this hair for much longer after that. He marched me to the barber's and told me to get it cut, more or less put a basin over my head and cut round it, and just made sure that I didn't get the hair in the eyes anymore. And I appealed for every LBW after that, even if they were going down leg side, going over the top, or missing by miles. He scared the shit out of me when I first started playing, and he was that was the hair. The hair from there never really got that long. So in lockdown, COVID, I went back to the long. It'll come off soon, but I was just bored, lazy, and gone back to my younger days.
Normally, when I kick off the interview, Harmy, like I'll ask about grade cricket or club cricket growing up, but I want to change that now and just go straight to playing with David Boone because, like in Australia, David Boone is a cult figure. Like, I mean, he is a real spirit animal for a certain type of Australian of a certain era, and maybe this is his charm, but we don't hear much from him. He doesn't put himself out there. Maybe it's because he's an ICC official or some shit. But also, he's sort of seen and not heard. So can you take us inside to what it's like to play with David Boone? Like, does the experience match the mystique of it? And did he teach you anything?
He probably taught me things that I didn't really need to be taught. But, at the very, very start. I knew how to order drinks from the bar, and I usually had to go and get them from the bar, and I knew how to sit and help him drink them. So that was an early insight to where my life was on its way that way anyway. Just meeting David at sort of 37, when I think I was only 18, 19, was something that I was brought up in a social background. So, but it took me it took me about 3 months to even speak to him. I just couldn't speak to him. There's this fella sitting in the corner of the room who was giving directions and telling us where to go and what to do and where to bowl. And, he was a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant man. But I just couldn't speak to him. This is the guy that I've watched on TV just get 100 after 100 against England. He had that famous record that, I'm not sure his wife is. I'm sure Pip's sick of people talking about on an aeroplane, and he was just brilliant. Honestly, what a bloke! But I always say it took me 3 months to even speak to him. He said it took 6 months for him to understand a word I said, because he just it was always, and I was a lot more broad-jawedy by the when I was 18, 19. I've changed a little bit because of obviously where I've been in the world, and I was sick of repeating myself. But it was a fantastic part of my upbringing when you go on a field with a guy who's played 107 Test matches. Durham weren't very good. When he came to Durham weren't very good. We were crap. Even 3-day games, teams were only booking in for two nights at the hotel because we weren't lasting that long. And then the club changed. 1997, when David Boone came to England, I think it's a little bit like Tasmania, when Tasmania won the Sheffield Shield for the first time. This character, the aura that he gave off was just amazing. And the 3 years that he had, that finished his playing days and finished his first class career in Durham, was arguably the starting point for Durham to kick off as a club and as a county. Because there's a lot of good young players came through at that time, the likes of Paul Collingwood, myself, Neil Colleen. We had some good young players that are coming from the little village, the little mining towns around. And Booney just sort of nurtured us in the right direction. But he wasn't there for what you sometimes find is overseas finish the days off and was there for a payday. And David wasn't there. David didn't seem to be there for that. He cared about what he was there for. And there was a couple of innings that stick out in my mind. We played against South Africa in '99, I think it was. It would have been his last year. And I mean, they went for him. I didn't help it. But I broke Jerry Liedenberg. Yeah, just getting 100 in the first test. I broke his thumb in the first innings. And they had Nancy Harewood, Sean Pollock, Alan Donald, Brian McMillan, who were both slippery.
Yeah.
And so they had four quick bowlers. And they came out and they went at us. But they didn't just go at us, they especially went at Booney. I think Donald was bowling around the wicket. And he hit him in the side of the grill, bust his grill. And I reckon any other overseas at 37-year-old who'd had his playing days, 107 Test matches, would have just chipped one up in the air and walked off. Nah, Booney got 90. He stood there. He took it between 80 and 90. Stood there, took it, kept hitting it, and it was that was an eye opener for me because I didn't realise, the game, the toughness of the game, playing against an international team who were playing at an international level because they'd played the first test, so they weren't just here for a warm up. And Booney he was brilliant. And that was the realisation that he cared about what he was doing at Durham and the steel and determination that he tried to give to all the young players. I can't speak highly enough of the guy. He was amazing. He was amazing. I couldn't drive for the first year of my contract. So my girlfriend at the time, wife now, or my parents had to come pick me up. But they're picking me up at 5 o'clock after work. We finished training at sort of 2:30 at 3. And he'd sit, and I think it was an excuse to get out of the house. I think he had a madhouse, didn't he, Jack and the girls, and Pip was there, and he would stay for a couple of beers, and he was like, just waiting on Harmy on the lift. So I got to know that side of the man. But I tell you what an appointment at Durham did, getting in, and he didn't disappoint. Boy, he was brilliant.
What about you growing up, Harmy? Were you always just sort of that sort of big, fast bowler, bowling heavy balls? Or, we hear a lot of stories about guys who get into international cricket. They started by, opening the batting or bowling some off spin and they just going to bowl some pace. Were you always, the big, mean, fast bowler?
Not really. Not really. I had no interest in cricket when I grew up, really, to be honest. No interest whatsoever. I was football. My batting skills have always been the same. I've always been a number 11. So even when I was a junior, I was a number 11. I just barely got used to holding the grip properly when I got to first class cricket. But no, I had no interest in cricket whatsoever. Cricket was a game that was played for me for about 8-10 weeks of the year because I always missed the first 6 games of the cricket season because I was playing football, and I missed the back end of it because I always started the football season. It wasn't until I played for Northumberland under 16s, I think it was, against Durham's under 16. And I think it was Jeff Cook was watching Michael Goff, the umpire, the fantastic umpire, great guy as well, Goffey. I think Jeff was come to watch him as a 16-year-old. And I played in the game. And within 2 weeks, I played 2 second team games. Then I made my first class debut at the end of that month in September against Leicester. We got battered, which was hilarious. The game was over by tea time on day 2. We were that bad. And that was the sign of the club, and that's why I had to bring David Boone in. And then that winter, I ended up in under-19 trip to Pakistan for Christmas and New Year, which I'd been out the northeast about 3 times in my entire life. I'd been on an aeroplane once, and I was in Pakistan. And nothing against Pakistan, hands up, but the culture that I was sort of airlifted into wasn't that something that I was used to. So that I lasted a fortnight. I ended up going home, and I didn't play for another 18 months. So my cricket into cricket was probably a little bit about my one day bowling. It was a bit of a roller coaster. Some of the good days, some bad days, and not always in the right directions.
Mate, I'm so curious about that, because like in the last couple of months in particular, like with our little operation, we've started speaking to some Indian players, like some current Indian players, and like for not to characterize them all the same, but like you always hear these stories of like prodigies who had special ways of playing the game from the age of 2 or 3, and you see a lot of that footage coming through now, and it seems to me that like you have to be so good and so committed from sort of the age of 2 or 3, and it has to be your whole life. And yet reading your story and also just experiencing a bit of grade cricket and guys who've played at the top, when you get to know them, for so many guys, cricket, there might be parts of it that they love. Like I know you were into bowling so much, but maybe not the rest of the game that much. Like you learn that like it's not so much that it's a job, but they're very honest about the demands of the game, and that maybe they don't love it, that much. It's just it's not so much something they just do. They respect that they play for their country and stuff, but it's not like a calling in life or this sort of destiny where they've achieved their life ambition. It just happens that they're very, very good at it and they do it. So my question to you is, I know you're a little bit like that, but could you tell us maybe how many other players that you played with at international level, with or against, you feel might have had the same view or relationship to cricket?
I would say quite a few, to be honest. I would say it's like you're asking an international cricketer about the sort of intricacies of the rules and the finer things of the rules, and they'll just look at you with like a deadpan face and go, "What are you on about?" And I've got no idea. I just play the game. I'm just good at the game. I don't know the rules. I don't know the ins and outs of it. And I think what I found with my career and people around me and that I played with, some of the best players in the world are the ones that aren't obsessed by the game. And I mean, there's an obsession. I remember when you played early first class, when 2020 first came out, and you'd get back from a first class game at the end of a day, you come back to the hotel, obviously being away from Durham, and there'll be people running to the telly to put the 2020 cricket on. And I'm like throwing controls out the window. Watching that for? Just play for 7 hours. Are you not sick of it? Are you not sick of it? I have just, put something. I'd rather watch Coronation Street or Emmerdale Farm than watch, Notts against Warwickshire for a white ball all round the ground. I'm just not interested. And a lot of people are like that. To be honest, a lot of people are like that. And I think that they've got the ability to switch off from the game. So good day, bad day. Guys that are up and down and emotional wrecks, when they're really high, when they've got 100, or really low when they've missed a straight one, they're the ones that fall by the wayside. They're the ones that don't make it in the international game, because 5 days in a test match is a long time to concentrate from, to stay obsessed in the moment. In the 3 days before it are just as hard, and I think that's what constitutes a test match week. And that was always the thing. When it was cruel to say this, but I could pick people at Lord's first test match everywhere. There was always a 14-man squad, England 14-man squad, first test match this summer. There was always at least 2 or 3 who were new to the group, who had been picked off the back of a good first 6 games in first class cricket. Might not going to play, but have been rewarded because they've had a good start of the season. And you're sitting at Lord's, and after a while, I'm like, "You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it." And it was cruel thinking that way, but it was like by the time a test match starts, mentally you were knackered. They were gone. You get your kit on a Monday morning. You get to Lord's, everything that goes to loads of programs are going around, things that need signing, go out and train, come back in, and you're like 1,000 miles an hour. By the time Thursday morning come, they're gone. Honestly, mentally, they were physically fine. Adrenaline was going to get them through. But mentally, they were gone. And the international game of cricket is the hardest game to play mentally in the world. It's an individual sport played by a team. And you're out there facing a ball or bowling a ball, concentration-wise. And the 3 days before that, it takes a lot out of you when you're new to it. And I think the ones that weren't obsessed by the games, the one that could switch off, finish the training and, go and lie in a bed and just watch something that has got nothing to do with cricket.
I wonder.
You get others that go in and just telly on, and they're watching reruns of last game and the reruns of, and like getting videos of opposition to. And it's like I did a thing with Matthew Hoggard yesterday. As you can see, me and Hoggy have found the weight that Andrew Flintoff lost 5 stone since he played cricket.
Yeah.
And me and Hoggy have definitely found it. He's got the VAT. I think he's got a little bit extra than what I've got. But we did a cooking thing yesterday, and Hoggy had a simple way. Umpires would come in with the balls. Do you want to pick them? No, send them to Hoggard because you knew what was coming. And they're all made by a fucking machine. Yes. They're all red. Yes. They've all got a steam on. They're all round. You pick one. We bowl with it. Stumps don't move. 22 yards away. The game's simple. If you complicate it, then it becomes harder. And that was Huggy's philosophy. And again, another one that could just switch off, go farming, go and you go and talk to the animals. Huggy you're at Lords, you go to London Zoo and just have a good conversation. You get more conversation talking to the animals. And to be fair, Huggy we would get more understanding of Huggy when he's talking to them. But he could switch off and he'd come away. And I did a thing on YouTube with Michael Vaughan talking about how to go with the fast bowlers. And if you listen to Michael, he'll say, if Huggy was walking back to his mark, making animal noises, Huggy was in a good place. He just left it. And that's what we had. We had a great team spirit, but we had people who weren't obsessed by the game of cricket, who could switch off from it and come back to it. And that for me is the difference between some of the great players, and some of the players that haven't quite met it at the top level, because the obsession to be the best, the obsession to, the cricket is their life, just gets in the way because it physically, it mentally drains them in key passages of the game, which, sometimes they fall by the wayside because of it.
And the guys these days play so much cricket, Harmy, as well. We spoke to Trent Bolt last year, I think it was last year, and he took a hat-trick against Australia in a World Cup. I think that might have been at Lords. And we asked him about it, and I think he'd forgotten about it. He forgot that was a thing that happened. You took a hat-trick against India in 2004, the second ever ODI hat-trick for England after Jimmy Anderson. But I was watching you take that hat-trick, and that I could tell that meant a lot to you in that moment.
It did, yeah, because it was the second slower ball it was only the second slower ball in my career that actually worked. The second, I think it was I remember, I can see his face. He just lobbed it back at me, and there was like such a surprise on my face that he didn't pick the slower ball, and actually when he hit it back at me, I caught it. So it was, but it did mean something. It meant a lot. It meant a great deal because. The games weren't as thick and fast as what they are now. The game's so much faster now. I wouldn't say the quality's better. I just think overall it's better for longer. These guys are machines now, and it's great to see. And it's great to see that kids have got heroes to aspire. It's still got like the heroes to aspire to. But I say that I would not fancy being a bowler in this day and age now because. The bats are getting bigger, the stumps are getting smaller, it seems, and the grounds are getting smaller as well. So quite happily being a world-class cricketer from sitting in the commentary box in the commentary studio, because the minute, you listen to Nasser Hussain and you listen to Michael Atherton and people like that, boy, they were great cricketers when you listen to them talk on a TV, because 2 months of realising, my career's over and you move into that side. And by the third month after that, whoa, you were the world's best, weren't you? So it's the way the game is, unfortunately.
Speaking of NASA, I think you've said in the past you said that you could argue that the golden era of 04 to 06 was down to NASA. He gave you guys the opportunity that just wasn't offered in the past, and that he is the reason for the turning point in English cricket. So I know you've just give him a little clip there for fun, but like,
no, I do all the time.
Yeah, tell us about NASA. Yeah, as a skipper and a bloke.
NASA was brilliant in his own way. It was tough love, to be fair, with NASA. If you're brutally honest, I can see why likes of Goffey and Kartik and a few others fell out with him, and there was like people throwing their boots at him. My first Ashes trip in 2002, I think we took four players that were injured before we even left England. And I think we picked a couple up as we got to Perth. And it was hilarious. We played, I think it might have been Western Australia's second team. We got beat. We got beat. There's a set of crutches in the room. NASA's having a go at Andrew Flintoff for not being fit, who had just had a double hernia operation about 2 months earlier. Yeah, Goffey with a bad knee, who all the will in the world, Goffey was never going to be fit for that trip, but we took him on a plane journey just for the sake of it, and they were his two sort of key men. And Goffey was his best bowler, and Freddie was going to balance the side out that we were playing against the best side in the world, and I think that got to NASA's frustration. And there was one afternoon at the end of when he got out. And and I'm sitting in the dressing room, and I've got Goffey hurling insults at NASA throwing things at Goffey, telling him to get fit. I think his boots went one way, NASA's cricket kit went the other way, and I'm going, we're getting beat off Western Australia's second team. We have got Hayden, Langer, Ponton, Gilchrist, Martin, Steve Waugh, Brett Lee, Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne, Gillespie. We've got these to come in 2 weeks' time, and we're getting beat off a bunch of club cricketers. And my hero, Darren Goff, and my captain are now fighting with each other. I'm not sure this trip's going to go very well. So, but NASA was great. Honestly, I do take the mickey out of him quite a bit, but he was at the time in my career that what I needed. NASA was what we needed. Ian, both of them having a go at him, telling him if I was Steve Harmison, I'd throw the ball at him. No, Beefy, it wasn't. It was NASA was right what he was doing. He was making sure that we understood, learning the game as we going along, and understood what the team was needing at the time. He's under immense pressure, and the Michael Vaughan era was it was built on the foundation that Nasser Hussain gives you that tough love. And it was the right time for Nasser to move over. We started to understand each other's game. We knew that the team was going to move on. We needed a little bit more of a relaxed captain outlook of what was going on, because we didn't need the instructions that, firm instructions that Nasser was given. And if it is a fault, which I don't believe it is a fault, there's a guy that loved playing for England and wanted England to win so much. I talked earlier about the obsession. That was a bit like, that was what Nasser Hussain was. He is a brilliant broadcaster now. I think he's probably one of the best on the TV. And I'll not have many bad words said about Nasser unless they're coming out of my mouth.
Just on to the one of the more forgotten series in Test cricket history, the 2005 Ashes, Harmy, that no one ever talks about. One of the sort of the key men, the catalyst in that series was Gary Pratt, who obviously ran out Ricky Ponting, and I'd imagine that he played his club cricket at Newcastle Cricket Club. He was playing at Durham at the time. I think you were playing at Durham at the same time, so I think you would have known him relatively well beforehand. But what was Gary Pratt like on the circuit afterwards when he was on the rooftop buses going around Trafalgar Square?
It was amazing. I couldn't stop looking at it. I was like, what are you doing on this bus? He ran Ricky Ponting out. Yeah, fine. I watched Gary Pratt grow up. I played with his older brother Andrew. I didn't play with his brother older again, Neil. He was just a bit before my time with Durham. They were a family obsessed by the game of cricket. And to be harsh and to be cruel, 2005 ended his cricket career. It did. It ended his cricket career. I thought he was a fantastic batsman. And I mean, as a young player, he was a fantastic player. Yeah. He wouldn't have been far away in development, carrying on, of being on the verge of, challenging for a place in that side outright. There was one game we played at Ilford. I'll never forget. Stewie Law was captain of Essex. We chased 220 for 2 down, and Pratt and a kid called Nicky Peng, he was another one who was destined for big things. But the Zimbabwe bowler Neil Johnson hit him on the back of the head, not too dissimilar, not too far away from the tragic thing that happened with Phil Hughes. And Pengy never got his feet back going forward again, and his career sort of slowed down a bit. But him and Pratt and Peng got hundreds in the game, and it was 2 young lads under the age of 20, and I was like, wow, we've got two unbelievable young players here. This is something special. And 2005, he stopped playing cricket. He was the fielder, and that was it. He didn't go back to Durham and play a great deal of second team cricket to get him back in the first team. It seemed to go to his head a little bit that he was this superstar fielder, and I don't think his cricketing career ever really recovered. He got a little bit of fame and fortune, not much, when it comes to his 15 minutes of fame, and then he disappeared. And it's a shame, because I thought that lad had a lot of talent as a cricketer himself. But what a fielder. He was a fantastic fielder. We knew when we brought him in that he was a fantastic fielder. But for 2 years before that, every chance we got to bring a 12th man in, if he was available, it was always Paul Collingwood. Paul Collingwood was the Gary Pratt before he made his Test match debut, and Collie would come and do the fielding, and that was the manipulation of the system that England, we always used to make sure that if a 12th man goes off, we've got one of the best fielders in the country coming on. We had another little kid from Durham as well, Gary Park, playing for Derbyshire, I think he did. Another fantastic fielder. So the one thing that disappoints me about the whole, and it is off a bit of hindsight, but Gary Pratt came on the field for Simon Jones. Simon Jones never played cricket again after that. Yeah. After going off the field there. Yeah. So the only 12th man we had in the building at the time was Gary Pratt, because everybody else had gone off. I think Chris Tremlett had gone off to play for Hampshire. So, if it wasn't Gary Pratt, it would have been somebody else. Would they have ran Ponting out? Possibly not, but he definitely had his 15 minutes of fame.
Good fielding.
Yeah.
Hey, Harmy,
I'm not sure Ricky saw the funny side of it.
Yeah, that's kind of what makes it funny, But,
he was actually laughing at Duncan Fletcher afterwards. He was laughing with him.
Well, that was just about to mention that, because anybody that makes Duncan Fletcher smile, I tell you what, that's no mean feat. You've got to be ready for that one. Yeah, sometimes he gets wind, and then sometimes he makes him smile. And I must admit, in 8 years playing cricket in and around Duncan, I never met him smile. I met him frown a few times, but I don't think I ever really met him smile. So.
Harmy, I have to skip over a bit of your career because we're sort of running out of time a little bit, and also it'd be really good to chat with you again because there's so much to talk about. No doubt you'll cover this kind of stuff on your YouTube channel as well, but I want to pick up, we're just talking about, the good old days, Pontings, your Freddie Flintoffs, Nasser Hussains and stuff, and some of the guys from that generation have been quite vocal recently about the way guys today, particularly in the England top order, are batting. We're really curious what you think about England's chances heading into Australia. They've got great pace attack, but nobody here, or it seems in England, thinks that you blokes can score a run. Is there a problem with their techniques? Do you not wonder whether old blokes just think that their techniques were better? Is the answer somewhere in the middle? How do England score a run out here?
Well, the simple way of answering that, I've seen Nasser a few weeks ago when he was passionate about going back to basics. And I was talking to Mark Butcher with it, and it was like, well, where's your basics? The guys are standing up tall. No, they're not bent legged. The bats are a million miles in the air. Where's your cricketing basics? Where you asked, where's Dom Sibley? Where's Rory Burns? As basic technique, because there's that many moving parts. There's that many things going out and away and coming back. Bowlers at international cricket, they don't give you many bad balls. A great interview with Ricky Ponting talking about Warner McGrath, and they were saying If people wait for the bad ball of Glenn or of Shane, it's like they bowled 5 bad balls in 90 overs between them. And it's like, if you wait for the bad ball, it's not coming. So you have to do something about it. And it just seems that with the England batsmen, you just got to put 4 or 5 balls in and around off stump, and they'll nick one of them at this moment in time. And I think when you've got a funny and a weird technique, if it's not all in sync and in tune every single second of the game, you're going to get out. I watched Sibley get out yesterday. It was a good ball yesterday. Young Potts from Durham got him out. But it was a ball that an international bowler would bowl. It went into off stump. It swung just away, and his hands were out in front of himself, and he nicked it. And if England don't get their top 3 right, England's top 3 don't get right, then I don't see them having any chance against India or Australia. If England get their top 3, and it's not so much the actual runs they score in the top 3, it's the balls they face. If they face balls, England have got a good chance of beating India and Australia, because the middle order, the powerhouse they've got, and what they've got going down the line. And I still think they've got a bowling attack that can challenge anywhere in the world. When they come to Australia, you'll have Broad or Anderson with two guys who bowl, whether Stone's fit, Wood's fit, Archer's fit. You've got 2 guys that can bowl in excess of 90 mile an hour there, 3 guys that can that. So 2 of them plus a Broad Anderson, I would imagine and Wokes will play between the 5 test match to go with Stokes. Then I think you've got a decent bowling attack. But if England's middle order get exposed, especially against the Kookaburra, which doesn't last for very long anyway, then England are in big trouble. But if they bat well at the top, nullify the new ball moving or bouncing, then I think we've got a series on, both in England against India, and I think England will feel the same about Australia's top order. I think England will feel as though they can potentially get at Australia's batting unit. But if you only get 220, 250, especially in the Southern Hemisphere, you're not winning any test matches. You'll end Broad's career, you'll end Anderson's career, because they'll be in the field for such a long period of time.
And just last one from me, Harmy. Obviously, Jimmy Anderson, 1,000 first-class wickets. I think yesterday he took that.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where does he fit in the pantheon of great fast bowlers? Is he number 1?
I think he's number 1, Matt. I really do. I'm not just saying that because he's English, and I played a lot of cricket with Jimmy. He's got 51 fifers, 51 5-wicket hauls. That's ridiculous. He's 38-year-old, and he doesn't seem to get. I watched the wickets last night, and I seen some of the bowling that he bowled yesterday. He bowled a 10-over spell straight through. He was bowling balls. If he had been playing international cricket on that surface, he would have got 7 for 19. He would have got 7 for 19, because there was balls that he didn't get wickets with, which would have got Virat Kohli out. It would have got Jika Rahane out, Pujara out, all the top Indians out. This guy, he only just got 7 wickets because the ones that he managed to bowl a little bit straighter, that the batsman could hit, nicked. And the ones that were in and around that good area of international cricket, around off stump and just outside, where players play and nick a little bit more, they would have nicked them. The only reason he didn't get more wickets is because, or he didn't get it for less runs, was because the batsmen they weren't good enough to hit them. He had that thing on a bit of string yesterday, and he just seems to be getting better and better. I think he's the best of all time, because he doesn't need the conditions to move the ball laterally. He got it going. Even in the Southern Hemisphere, when not a great deal, he uses the angles, he uses his crease well, great wrist position. I think he is the best. I really do. The likes of Big Glenn and Walsh and Ambrose. You can go through the whole list. I just think Jimmy goes past them because of the age and longevity and everything that he's gone with it. Yeah. Some will argue that he had the conditions more in his favour for half the year, as opposed to the likes of McGrath having to bowl, or Wakar or Wazim having to bowl in the Southern Hemisphere. But I still think Jimmy's the all-time greatest.
Steve Harmison, thanks so much for joining us, mate. We can catch more of your analysis and views of all types. What David Byrne was like in the showers, and is Jimmy Anderson number 1 on your YouTube channel, Harmy. And to those out there, we won't be posting subtitles. I think between a Geordie and a couple of Aussies, it's going to be tough for a few people. But mate, really appreciate your time. It's very early in the morning in the UK, so hopefully we can catch you again, mate, because I really enjoyed it. And there's much more to cover.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me anytime.
Hashtag AskTGC, Pez. Now, Pez, we spoke to Shreyas Iyer. Some would say a future Indian captain.
Some would.
And he is coming back from injury. We had the wonderful opportunity to speak to him and his team.
Both during and afterwards.
And during that interview, Pez, he mentioned that he played club cricket in the UK. For those people who just consume TGC through the ears, this interview is on YouTube. You can find that and us on YouTube. But he was talking about his housemate that he played club cricket with in the UK. He played for a team called, I can't think of the name of the team that he played from the UK.
Clifton Village.
Clifton Village, good from you, yeah. And he averaged like 40. And then the next year he went for 2.6 crore in the IPL.
What's that?
Heaps.
That's a shit ton.
He went for heaps.
That's a shit ton of coin.
And in that first year of the IPL, he won like the
best emerging player,
rising star, whatever. So he was good, but not in England. That swinging ball, the old swinging jukes. Anyway, he was just telling some stories about his friend James, who he lived with, and the great experiences that he shared with James.
It's a bit of a coming together of cultures when you talk to like an out and out Indian superstar.
He just come from the Under-19 World Cup.
Yeah, but like us talking to him, he's basically he's the captain of the Delhi Capitals, owing to whatever the owners decide to do. He speaks about that on the show.
Right.
But like complete superstar, unimpeachable superstar of Indian cricket. We're just blokes who played at, Chatswood Oval and Ryde Oval respectively.
Mm-hmm.
And England, and playing club cricket in England is like a fertile meeting ground for all this because all the superstars go and play there or whatever. And so we're trying to sort of get a connection with him there, and he's talking about playing at Clifton Village. And we're like, are you still in touch with anybody from Clifton Village? Like, yeah, I've got a friend called James. His friend James. I'm like, okay.
Funny you should say that, Pez, because James Hollingsworth wrote in via email. He said, boys...
After this interview.
After the interview, he says, hope you will. Just watch your Shreyas interview on YouTube. As is my want, I'd like to introduce myself as a 4 times Premier League champion, 3-time Notts, 1-time Derby, century maker in the VTCA first grade for Royal Park, Brunswick, that's Alex Hales' opening partner before his tats, and Shreyas' housemate in the UK. I thought I would share a couple of memories of Shreyas in the UK that have stuck with me. Firstly, I painted his room before he arrived and got him a nice bed. Annoyingly, the bed was too soft, so he slept on the floor. Shreyas never drank alcohol. Me and the boys would go out drinking, circuiting, and he would just dance and do magic tricks in the corner of the dance floor. He outfitted me in a Sunday game by beating me to Trent Bridge cricket team record of 151. He got 171 off 98 balls. Shouldn't have invited him to play. Hitting his first ball for 6 over the pavilion, over extra cover, off an ex-county spinner. Generally, best player I've played with or against. Stuart Laura's up there. Yep, played against him also. He's a cracking lad, and we still keep in touch today. Obviously, I message him first. Usually my pictures of my dog or something I've built in the garden, or something I've built in the garden, or a casual good knock, mate. Love the show, lads. It reminds me of my time in Oz. Congrats on the successes, James. Nice to hear from you, James.
I don't know about you, but I mean, what was your thought on the main theme of what James was telling us there?
Bought him a bed, slept on the floor.
What I took from that was James just letting us know that he could play a bit as well.
Yeah, he was on a bad stick.
It was a classic.
Yeah.
He really manages to crowbar. But I think most of it is about things that he achieved in cricket.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's what you want.
Yeah, P.S. I know someone you spoke to.
I just really like that when Shreyas was talking about it, he was just saying like, yeah, I know James.
James, yeah. Yeah, not well though.
The one he wrote to, we have to let him know he's talking about another James, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, well done on the 100 in the VTCA first grade Royal Park, Brunswick. I took my dog for a walk in Royal Park the other day.
Yep. What's VTCA?
Fucked if I know. You get some coin there, though, apparently. You get more coin.
Oh, good if you can get it.
Royal Park, Brunswick. I wouldn't be saying that out loud too often, brother.
Alex Hale's opening partner before his tats. Like his tats changed him. Once that ink got into the bloodstream.
It's funny, isn't it? You can he obviously is good. He plays with Shreyas Iyer and Alex Hales.
I don't
It's like
know.
when he's playing for fucking Royal Park, Brunswick. Have a go in Premier Cricket, brother.
Mate, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about outside of India. Like, I don't know if Shreyas Iyer gets enough love for how fucking good a player he is. Like, I don't think it'll mean as much to the West as it might do in India, right? But like, I just love the idea that at one time they were just like circuiting and like Shreyas Iyer is taking some cards out and he's just doing magic tricks in the corner of a dance floor. Mate, who was that bloke who? He captains the Indian team now.
Yeah,
he's worth about 30 million.
Hey, yeah, you're on this call with him. There's 8 blokes like managing every word, writing transcripts out. He's gone for 2.6 crore. And he's 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they're like, got to be really careful of how it comes out. Yeah. And then another bloke, his mate James, writes in, goes, just in the corner doing magic tricks. It's a Clifton Village, like cricket pavilion.
I bought it, it was too soft.
Little strobe light going in England,
Yeah. It's Chasers from the office.
Dancing doing it's the Ace of Spades. It's a real leveler.
For some reason, Wernan Hogg's there. All right. Steve writes in, Pez.
Yep.
Dear TGC, I'm looking for advice. My son is 17. Sorry, I just realised I just started reading this.
Go for it.
My son is 17. He finished school cricket in March. This summer, he also filled in for a local park club when available. I'm somewhat proud of him. He opened the bowling for his school in a good side. I only got to a couple of games due to golf commitments and would try to sit behind the bowler's arm. Gave him some feedback in the car home. He says I'm too negative, but my reply is just stating facts, mate. Interestingly, when playing park, he would open for second grade, but was third change for sixth grade. Not sure how that works. I only got to one of those games as the other old blokes in the team can fill my role as his advisor. He enjoyed the banter from the older guys, heaps funnier than school cricket, he reckons. Regarding my cricket career, it was pretty light. Played as a kid as a keeper batsman, but quit after under 13s. If my cricket was around then, I'd have averaged in the low teens. A couple of trophies and baggy caps are in the garage somewhere. Getting glasses when I turned 14 changed things in hindsight, pun intended. I should have continued for a couple more years. That's the background. The reason I'm contacting you is this. The park team's presentation night was last weekend. As he's doing his HSC, we told our son to come home at 10:30 when the RSL closes anyway. He was in contact with his mum via text at 10:25, saying he was leaving soon and would be home by 10:45. Still not home at 1 a.m. My wife was very worried. He hadn't answered his phone or text. I woke up at 1:15 a.m. after hearing him trip over the puppy gates inside our house. He came into our room gibbering and swaying. We sent him to bed to address it when he was sober. Turns out he went from the RSL to a local pub with a few of the younger but over 18 park players. He's going to be grounded. Just interested in what length of time you blokes recommend. My wife and I would appreciate your thoughts. Cheers, Steve.
Well,
his son's at a circuit.
His son's at a circuit, and Steve,
he's 17.
Yeah, and he had his HSC.
Yeah, he illegally circuited.
Like when I reflect upon my time playing grade cricket and starting when I was 16 or 17, I realised how, and this is at a time when there were men playing, as in their late 20s, who felt like gods, or their early 30s.
Yeah.
How impressionable I was as a 17-year-old to the actions of other men.
Oh, yeah.
But like a lot of penis tricks and stuff going around. I find myself in Madrid, a year later doing the same tricks.
Yep.
Embarrassed, ashamed looking back on that.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking...
Walking down Los Ramblas, just buying some offies.
See my wristwatch sort of stuff. Yeah, I'm not.
But Steve's son is circuited with some just over 18s. It seems like so very impressionable at that age.
Well, I see a connection. He goes,
okay,
like Steve's looking at how to punish his son, looking at how to punish his son.
Mm-hmm.
But when I read the early chat about Steve's relationship to his son, he said he was somewhat proud of him, and he always gave him negative feedback, or at least in his son's view, negative feedback.
Steve's off playing golf. And now his son's on the eve of his HSC, and he's starting to look to some other blokes over 18 for some influence. Mm-hmm.
And Steve wants to punish him, widen that gap. I've got no idea how to parent a 17-year-old son. I'm just wondering if Steve needs to look a little closer to home.
When I was 17, I told my mum I was going to the movies, and I went to the Bacardi Festival. And I ended up in the cross. Or was I 16? 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So my mum was going to like the movies. And then it got to like 12 or something. She was like, "Where are you?" Like phone calls. This is like early days of mobile
like
phones as
5110
well.
or something. What are you on
No, I
here?
think
Nokia?
I know a flip phone. I forget what it was.
Oh, flip phone. Okay.
Yeah, I had a Razor.
That's making bank.
I had a no, I just rolled some cunt for it. For 50 cents on a lighter. No, you didn't. That Veronica Vaughn. I can't remember what phone. I did have a Motorola Razr, but that was after school. I had that. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like, it got to like about 2 a.m. I came home and I was flogged. So I've been at the Bacardi Festival, then ended up at the Cross.
I remember the Bacardi Festival.
Oh, man, it was so good. But yeah, I got in big trouble then. And rightfully so, because I told my parents that I was going to the movies to watch a romantic comedy. And I went to the King's Cross, which was run by bikies at the time.
Yes, at the time.
Yeah, all good.
Well,
So that's my experience.
thankfully the Premier would later on decide that New South Wales Premier later on decide that you could only go out in areas where there were casinos, and they closed down the Cross.
Yeah, that was safer for everyone.
It was safer. Foot traffic.
Yeah, that's right.
How long should he ground him for?
I don't. So this would have been
3 months. Teach him a lesson.
3 months. Fuck me.
Teach him a fucking lesson.
Well, if you just make him keep playing cricket for 10 to 12 years.
Indeed. One more?
Yeah, one more.
Greg Cantlet writes in, "But I write to you as a long-suffering Black Caps fan in a quandary. Our newfound status as World Test Champions does not sit well with me, and I do not know what to do. As a fan, I'm overwhelmed, but as a father, I feel a sense of crushing responsibility." What?
A crushing responsibility.
For decades, I've been conditioned to accept mediocrity from our national team. I've watched as we have rolled out teams sponsored by KFC and fifth-rate telcos. I've supported our teams with headline acts such as Ken Rutherford, Lee Jamon, and Simon Dool. In return, my lot has been heroic acts in defeat. Nathan Astl's 222 off 168 balls v England, lost by 98 runs. Shane Bond 6 for 23 v Australia, lost by 96 runs. Lance Kansas 6 sixes at the MCG, lost by 149 runs. Acts which have taken on Gallipoli-esque status in the New Zealand sporting landscape. Fast forward to the 2015 Cricket World Cup and my vasectomy. During my She'll Be Right approach to my post-operative recovery, I put my back out after getting into an awkward position while washing the car. That's interesting. What sort of position? When Grant Elliott deposited Dale Steyn into the Eden Park terraces to send New Zealand into the World Cup final, I leapt up in celebration. Everything seemed to click all at once, both my back and the thought that maybe we might actually be good. I've put my back out for 18 months before, and if I ever leapt up and it just clicked into place, I'd be absolutely euphoric.
Oh, mate.
I was at the MCG that day that we got thumped, but in my heart of hearts, I knew we were never really in with a chance. 2019, we were back again, but this felt different. We had depth, we had a good team, we could win in different ways. I dared to believe, and watched the final through the night. With the game all but won, the cricket gods intervened, and I was crushed, spiritually and emotionally. So when Ross Taylor hit the winning runs against India to become World Test Champions, I was overcome with joy. In the hours since, I've had cause to reflect on my own personal cricket journey.
Fucking hell. You fucking weak cunt.
Everything that's been written to this point has been bullshit, and this is when his actual thing starts.
Sorry, Greg.
Yeah. Growing up on a farm meant that organised cricket was never on the cards for me. My father tried, but was an embarrassment at backyard cricket with a bowling action that made Paul Adams look like Richard Hadley. My stepfather hated this stupid fucking game. Our one shared cricket experience was me sending down my best leggy, only for him to deposit it out onto the main road, drop the bat, and walk off sledging me at the side of his mouth. Fucking hell. Despite my challenges, I have done well to achieve the heights of playing in local T20 business house competitions. Fucking hell, what's that? With a bunch of old fat blokes, in my own way contributing to the rich tapestry of New Zealand cricket. Now a father myself, I have been preparing my two preteen boys for the Asian century by diligently whiteboarding beard vectors and researching humane methods of dislocating fingers to create the necessary precursors for mystery spin. However, if we are indeed living in the New Zealand century, what are my responsibilities as a father of the next generation to ensure it continues? Our one weakness is the lack of a bloke that can turn the ball, so maybe that whole finger thing has merit? And if Kane Williamson is now the biggest of all daddies, isn't it time for Kane Richardson to cede the title of Big Daddy Kane?
I don't think Kane Richardson has the title of Big Daddy Kane, does he? Kane is the Big Daddy. No doubt about that. Yeah, so without a doubt, this is New Zealand century. I also think that there could be something going with England as well. Obviously won the 2019 World Cup. They could be bringing home the Euros here. I guess their test team's still shit, but
And just for background, he goes like when what's this guy's name?
Greg.
So when Greg talks about like the whole finger thing, for those who were catching up, we had I presume he's talking about this. We had an email from Nick Elliott who wrote an AskTGC saying, "Can we combat the Asian century with hammers?"
Hammers to fingers to dislocate fingers, so blokes can boss some offies.
Yeah, like he says, it's clear by now that exposure to Western constrictions at a young age reduces the chances of bowling like Ashwin Murali to absolute zero. So instead of Michael Atherton offering false encouragement with platitudes such as keep that leading arm high and accelerate through the crease, shouldn't we be encouraging young spinners to smash their own fingers with hammers in hopes that their bones might heal in such a manner that allows them to bowl a delivery that looks vaguely illegal? Shouldn't we be dislocating wrists and separating shoulders in search of freakish physiological advantages? What I'm asking is the Asian century inevitable, and would I be better off making peace with it now, or do you think I'm onto something with the hammers and shit? That's what Greg's asking.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. If Mitchell Santner just started to absolutely rag him, but it's still left arm, isn't it? Still left arm orthodox. Like no one's. I mean, Axel Patel's doing some shit, I suppose, but it would be really exciting. The New Zealand team lacks sex for me. Like, it's a great.
Kyle Jamieson brought some sex.
He brought some sex. That's a good point. Even
he brought good sex.
Wagner has got something about him, but he's been running a one-man show until Jamo's come into the team.
It depends what sex you like, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Style of sex.
Yeah, but at the moment it's all very like missionary, lights off, 3.5 minutes polite, read a poem beforehand, cuddling afterwards.
You think that's what Kane Williamson is?
A little bit, yep.
You think he's missionary, straight, boring sex?
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Yes, I do.
Really?
It's very technically correct. He'll take you there. He'll take you places you've never been. He'll make you see colours you haven't seen in years.
Okay. Well, that's better sex.
Yeah, but it's just polite.
Polite sex.
Wagner is not that.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Jamieson brings something, but what New Zealand are missing now is like some X factor with a raging turner, a real ragger. Ish Sodhi, fine bowler in the white ball stuff. It's pretty straight though. It's kind of straight breaky. I want someone who can bowl wrist spin.
Is it worth Greg taking the gamble for his country to try and do what Nick suggests, to try and smash his children's fingers and shoulders with hammers to see if they reform in ways that give them a physiological advantage?
Yes.
Get the hammers out.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And when docs come, or whatever the New Zealand equivalent is,
I'd be surprised if New Zealand weren't already onto this because, say, in contrast to Australia, the country seems very cohesive when it comes to cricket, and I think their plan has been a long time coming. Everything is in place. The only thing missing is the fingers and shit player, and I wouldn't be surprised if they already have one in the wings, and we're only sort of a couple of years away from it.
You know what that World Test Championship lollipop was? It's actually a big mallet.
That's how New Zealand
should go around
Yeah.
getting kids' fingers on tables and bashing the fuck out of their fingers with that mace thing.
Bang on. People were saying, like Aussies were saying, how am I meant to drink out of this mace? That's why we're creatively struggling. We're creatively second rate. New Zealand won that mace. They're going to put that mace to work. Yeah. They know how to make the most of short resources.
That's right.
They're already smashing fingers and shoulders as we speak right now. Good on them.
Thank you so much to Steve Harmison, who we haven't spoken to yet, but thank you anyway for coming to the show. Thank you out there for listening. As ever, we'll see you next week. And if you want more of this, hashtag AskTGC Fridays on Patreon at patreon.com/greatcricket. But until then, we'll see you guys right here on the internet. Cheers.